come from from Maryland, which is all counties, and the county the county government is big, and it's a big deal, and that's how you're passing. So it's great because here we can pass, go around these little towns and pass things with somewhat more easily, but then you get into these issues of like,
Yeah.
oh,
Do you want a 5? What kind of countdown?
That'd be great, 5. Yep.
Okay, she wants a
Thanks.
5, 3, 1.
Okay, get ready.
See what I said?
We all live in Somerville. It's the greatest place. A lot of fun things in Somerville. A lot of foods to taste. Pizza, burgers, French fries, ice cream.
Welcome back to Raising Families. I'm really excited to be here this morning with a new friend of mine. Her name is Katherine Connelly, and she works for the Health Resources in Action program. And we're going to be talking about something that I think is so significant and so important for these times, the idea of quitting smoking. And most people maybe who are watching this would think, oh, well, we've kind of, done what we can do around cigarettes. We've passed lots of laws and most people have quit, or, there's not that many people smoking. But it is still actually a big deal. And for those who want to quit, it's often very frustrating because they try and they can't seem to make it happen. So Katherine is going to be here to talk about some of the new ideas around smoking cessation and how we can help people best and where people can go for resources. So welcome, Katherine.
Thank you. Thanks so much for having me. It's great to be here.
Thanks. So what you wanted to talk a little bit about some of the new information we have as to what actually works for people.
Exactly, and I'm really glad that you mentioned that smoking is still a big problem and a big challenge for a lot of people. It's still the number1 cause of preventable disease and death in Massachusetts, and we still have, it costs about $4.3 billion in healthcare every year. So this is a problem for a number of residents here, and it's something that for most of them they've been struggling with their whole life. We know that 77% of current smokers in Massachusetts want to quit, and 66% of them have actually tried to quit before. So we know those people are out there and that they're looking for assistance and for support in quitting, but sometimes it can be a big challenge of navigating how to quit and knowing what's out there to help you.
Yeah. I think a lot of people have in their minds, that they should just be able to do this, like it's willpower.
Right.
And before the show, you and I talked for a minute, and I said that I would say this on the show, but I was struggling a lot with my weight and my food habits, and I kept trying to diet, and every time I tried and failed, I would be mad at myself, and have all these negative thoughts about myself. And actually, finally, I did reach out for help. And with help, it was so much easier. It had happened, and I was able to do it. When I decided that was enough. So.
And that's wonderful. And that's actually a really great metaphor for how it is for many people who try to quit smoking. The average amount of times it takes someone to quit smoking is 7. Which means there's many people who try to quit 10 times and 14 times. And a lot of people go through the same thing you were talking about of this sort of each time they try to quit and they don't quit for good, they go through a lot of negative self-talk, a lot of feeling of helplessness, and go right back to it. And what we want to emphasize is that every time you quit, you learn something about yourself, and you
good
learn what
point.
works for you and what doesn't work for you. And with support, you can really build up your defenses and help you make sure that this quit attempt will be an attempt for good. And so there are two main forms of support that we encourage. One would be medications, usually via your healthcare provider, and also smoking cessation counseling. And if you use the two of these together, you're more than double as likely to quit for good.
Wow, that's important information.
Absolutely.
Yeah. My mom, who had smoked for 50 years, and I remember growing up in the house with her and my father and my grandmother, all chain smoking while I was growing up. That's a whole other show, secondhand smoke.
Yep.
But anyway, you know, and when she was 50 years old, when she had been smoking for 50 years, and she had tried many things, hypnotism and all kinds of stuff, and finally she used Chantix. And it worked,
Yep.
and she quit. And for the last 2 years of her life, she was smoke-free. So,
And those 2 extra years, I'm sure, were incredibly improved health-wise. And that's
Yeah.
another thing we try to remind people is that, you know, even if you've been smoking for decades, the minute you quit, your health has improved.
Wow.
It takes only 5 minutes for your heart rate to return to a normal the rate of a non-smoker. As well, in 24 hours, your risk of heart attack is the same as that of a non-smoker.
wow.
So these are really very rapid changes
Yes.
that are improving your health. And you know, we know as well that your sense of smell will come back. You will be able to exercise a lot easier. So even if one of the questions that people say is, you know, well, why should I quit if I've been smoking for 50 years, for 20 years, for however much time? And we say, you know, remember that your health is going to improve almost immediately, and it will continue to improve. The longer you are smoke-free, the healthier you're going to be, and it's the best thing you can do for your health.
Wow, that's so important, because the people who feel helpless, you know, or hopeless about it, you know, that's a good motivator or sign of hope for them, probably.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And in addition, as you mentioned, for people who are feeling helpless, the great news is there is so much available to Massachusetts residents. We live in a great state to try and quit smoking. So as I mentioned earlier, smoking cessation counseling is very effective and something we encourage people to consider doing. And there are a number of different resources for counseling, both locally and via the telephone, actually. So the Massachusetts Smokers Quit Line, 1-800-QUIT-NOW, runs 7 days a week from 7 a.m. to 1 a.m. And you can call, and there are professional smoking cessation counselors available who will help talk you through your quit process, and also they can screen you to receive a free 1-month supply of the patch, which is really a big deal and very exciting for those individuals who cost may be a barrier. In addition, if cost is a barrier, now going over towards sort of the medication side, of course, always talk to your provider about what medication route may work for you. And if you're concerned about costs, we recommend that you check the back of your health insurance card and call that 1-800 number on your health insurance, because under the Affordable Care Act, all health insurance providers are required to cover at least one FDA-approved cessation medication. And under Mass Health, actually all 7 of the medications are approved for copays of $1 to $3.
Oh, that's
which
terrific.
Exactly,
Yeah.
is a huge deal. And in addition to covering the medications, Mass Health also covers group counseling or individual counseling, and this is and it will cover it twice a year at least, if not more, which is great. If you try to quit and it doesn't work out, you can try again.
Right, that's so important to know, because I've heard people say that they got medication or they got quit aids at one point, but then they don't think they can go back again because it didn't work. So they actually can. They
Absolutely.
can try again.
You can try again, and you should always try again. And a lot of the people that I speak with mention that I tried Chantix and it didn't work for me, or I tried the patch and it didn't work for me. And that's okay. The reason there are so many different medications is in part because different things work for different people. And knowing what, and really thinking about what worked and what didn't work is going to help you in the next attempt. And it's great if you can talk to your provider about that or call the helpline, and someone on the helpline can talk to you about different strategies around, what's going to make this time different.
Right, that's terrific. So when somebody calls the helpline, for example, what might be something that happens aside from, so they give resources. I mean, is it really like counseling? Do you get help with craving right now or something?
So these are professionally trained tobacco cessation counselors. So not only will they connect you to local resources, but they will also provide you counseling right there on the phone, which for some people is really ideal because maybe they're not ready to go out in a group, or maybe they're just in bed and don't really feel, are dealing with a craving and just want to pick up the phone and say, hey, I'm having this craving, what do I do? Another great thing about the helpline is they'll actually call you back. So if you call one time and say, I'm thinking about quitting smoking, I'm not sure if I'm ready, they'll talk you through it, and then they'll follow up. And they'll check in on you and say, how's it going? Are you still thinking about quitting smoking? Which is a great motivator for a lot of people. I also wanted to mention that there are local resources for group counseling, both at Mount Auburn Hospital and at Somerville Hospital via the Cambridge Health Alliance. So Cambridge Health Alliance patients are eligible to participate in this group counseling at the Somerville Hospital, and they can call a number that we're going to put up at the end of the show.
Great.
And then at Mount Auburn Hospital, it's a program by a trained tobacco cessation specialist that's open to the public and free of charge. So these are two really great resources to people in Somerville.
Fantastic. Okay. And I noticed that you brought a book with you. Do you want to talk a little bit
Sure.
about that?
So this is a book that's produced by the Massachusetts Department of Public Health. It's You Can Quit Smoking, and it's a great resource that's available for free. If you go on to makesmokinghistory.org, there's all sorts of information about how to quit smoking, but also you can get some resources. So what's great about this booklet is it sort of lines out the different steps of how to quit smoking. And one of the first things it recommends you do is to think about the reasons of why you want to quit. And it contains in the back these little wallet cards of things to put in to think about as you're going through the process. So step one.
Carry with you.
Exactly, why I want to quit, right? And so there are a number of different reasons people want to quit. Obviously, one of the first and foremost tends to be their health, and we've already touched on that. But also for friends and family. A lot of people are motivated by maybe when they have a child or when they have a grandchild, that's a big motivation to them to say, you know what, I'm going to be smoke-free for my son, for my granddaughter, for something like that. So that's a great reason to write down. Also, a big motivation should be cost, right?
Absolutely.
Exactly. As we know, cigarettes are around $9 to $10 a pack. So if you're smoking a pack a day, if you quit smoking, you're going to save around $3,000 a year, which is no small sum of money.
Incredible, yes.
So remember that as a reason to quit, and we suggest that you keep those motivations in mind and you really think about it. And then the next thing, so what this book in general does is say it's really important to lay out a plan. Some people are able to quit cold turkey and just say today's the day and never touch a cigarette again. More people are more successful when they make a plan. So we recommend that first you think about your motivation, why I want to quit, and then you set a quit date. So we would recommend about 2 to 4 weeks in advance. Set that date, and in anticipation of that day, start tracking when you smoke and with who or around what activity. So you start to get used to what is my routine, why do I smoke, or what triggers me to smoke.
To get more conscious of it.
Exactly, to be more conscious. If you can, we also recommend attempting to reduce the number of cigarettes per day before that actual quit date. That'll make it a little bit easier. But again, knowing your triggers is really important. So as you track your smoking, you can start to think, what are the main things? Is it the first thing I do when I get up in the morning? And if so, we recommend either maybe putting your running shoes next to your bed and walking outside immediately. Just putting on a coat and walking outside. We also recommend changing your morning routine, maybe drinking a cup of tea or a cup of coffee. Another common trigger for people is smoking in the car. So before that quit date, clear any cigarettes, any lighters out of your car, and instead put in some gum, put in healthy snacks, something that if you're used to reaching for that cigarette right away when you get in the car, you can reach for something else. Exactly.
Yep.
It's also frequent that people take smoke breaks at work. And so when you're making your plan, let people know, I'm going to quit smoking, or I'm going to try to quit smoking. And so please don't invite me to come get a cigarette with you, right? And still take a break. Take a break, but go ask someone to go on a walk with you or call a friend during
That's
that break.
great, because there is a big social component often for people, and to just take that away might be hard.
Absolutely.
So to find somebody else to be with.
Definitely, and it's great to have a quit buddy if you can, or just to have someone to be your support if it's already someone who's a non-smoker, because exactly, as you mentioned, it's frequently very social. In making your plan, think about where are those places. Do you frequent bars or restaurants that you have a social smoking group with, and how can you change that routine and look for support? And it's definitely going to be hard, particularly around those social situations, but the more you let people know, the more supportive they are going to be, and encourage them and say, you can do this with me, and you can help me through. So knowing your triggers, and then once you do quit, we want you to prepare for cravings and withdrawal, right? So nicotine is an addictive substance. You are addicted to the nicotine, and therefore, when you quit smoking, you're going to experience some symptoms of withdrawal. They tend to be the worst 3 to 4 weeks after you quit. You can get medication to help you with the symptoms, but also just knowing that that's going to come is really helpful to be prepared for that withdrawal. And it will pass. You'll get through it. You have to keep that positive self-talk. Remind yourself, take out your cards. Why did I want to quit? And remind yourself as you're going through that. In addition, cravings can be very, very strong and very hard to resist, as with so many things in our life. And what we remind people is that a craving is only going to last about 5 to 7 minutes. So you can get through it. We have 4 tactics to get through a craving that we recommend, and I believe it's on one of these cards as well, right? The 4 Ds. We recommend that you delay. So again, 5 to 7 minutes. Remind yourself, if I can wait in 7 minutes, then I can get through it. The next D is deep breathing. So just a regular, deep, slow inhalation with a couple breaths that will help calm you down, and also if sort of similar to the sensation, of smoking.
Right.
The next one is drink water, which every health professional is going to tell you to drink more water no matter what your health issue is, but definitely drink water and drink it slowly, right? That's going to fill you up, it's going to hydrate you. And the last one, of course, is to distract yourself. So again, if it's only 5 to 7 minutes, call a friend, play a game on your phone, go outside, go on a walk, do something to distract yourself.
I love the water idea. I quit smoking 37 years ago, I think it was. And I did it with water, literally.
Really?
I really did. I drank
great.
water every time I wanted a cigarette. And back then, I heard something funny, which I don't think it's true because I've never heard it again since, but it worked at the time, which was that nicotine is water soluble, they told me. So I took lots of baths and showers and drank water constantly.
Well, that's great.
And
If it worked for you, that's great. And we hear all sorts of anecdotes for different little tricks of things that work for people. One woman I've worked with who quit smoking said, she'd tried multiple times before, and the only thing that worked for her was cinnamon gum. It couldn't be any other type of gum. It had to be cinnamon gum. Every time she had a craving, she ate that cinnamon gum, and it worked for her. And that's wonderful.
Makes sense.
And that's also what's really great about makesmokinghistory.org. We have profiles. It's the part of the Ex-Smoker Hall of Fame, where we celebrate and highlight people who have quit smoking. But there are so many different stories up on the website of individuals talking about what they did to quit smoking. And it's really great to hear that, because you never know what someone will say and if that's going to click for you, if that's going to be the thing that helps you through. So that's a really great resource available to people. And then just the last step that's in this book is, once you've made your plan, right, you've gotten to your quit date, you're going through your cravings and withdrawal, you're beating them, how to set your plan in action and maintain. So one of the concerns people often bring up is weight gain. And some people certainly do gain weight, not all people. Usually it's about 5 to 10 pounds. So it's a very small amount of weight that you can then lose in the after effects.
And the payoff is so big.
Absolutely, absolutely. It's the health benefits of quitting smoking are far greater than the side effects of gaining about 5 to 10 pounds. So we recommend plan to make your life healthier in general. Try to get more exercise and try to eat better, because you're already going to be feeling so much better by not smoking that it's a great way to also start feeling better by being just a little more active and eating a little bit better. And then also, to prepare for if you slip, if you mess up a little bit, you have a cigarette, don't beat yourself up about it. There's a lot of negative conversations about smoking, and we really want to encourage people to be positive and to celebrate everything that they have accomplished in the process. So if you have quit and you have one cigarette, don't beat yourself up, but tell yourself, that was it. That was a mistake, and I'm not going to do it again. Now, if you relapse, which happens, as we've mentioned, it takes many times, again, reflect on it, celebrate the fact that you had quit, and learn from it. What were the different, what made you slip up? What tactics did you try this time that did work? Give yourself a minute, take some time, and then make a new plan. And also, I'm sorry, I did want to mention something that is a big trigger and also a large cause of relapsing is stress. So many people say, I was smoke-free, I had quit, and then I got really stressed out. Something happened at work or something happened at home. And that makes a lot of sense. Stress happens. It makes everything in life a lot harder. But one of the best things I've heard actually from a former smoker is she said, I would smoke when I got stressed, and then I realized, this cigarette is not going to change whatever is stressing me out, right? Whether or not you have that cigarette, it's not helping the cause of your stress.
And it actually adds to it, because now you feel bad about smoking. All of the things that are negative about smoking, you've got now too, on top of the stress.
On top of the stress.
Right. Yeah.
So prepare for this. Think about, if something happens, how else can I handle my stress? Is it the deep breathing? Is it some other having a buddy to talk to, having a counselor, and just knowing that stress is part of life, and a cigarette is not going to help you through it. It's not going to change that stress. So that's, I think, a really tough one for a lot of people, and a good thing to keep in mind.
I really like how you explained it, though. That makes so much sense. It doesn't make anything better.
No.
Now, Katherine, sorry, I'm thinking of Elizabeth, who was on the show once before talking about tobacco products. So I don't know if you're prepared to talk about this, and maybe you could just say a little bit, but so some of the buzz out there is that e-cigarettes are a safe alternative to cigarettes. Do you want to talk about that at all?
Sure, absolutely. Okay. So e-cigarettes are definitely in the news a lot.
Yes.
The message that we want to be clear is that these are not FDA-approved cessation devices. So the patch, the pill, the gum, all of these things have been heavily researched and passed by the FDA. We know they help people quit. An e-cigarette has no regulation. There's no oversight into what goes into these products, how it's produced, and therefore it can be a very dangerous road to go down. There are stories of people who say, yes, this helped me quit. but we highly, highly recommend talking to your doctor and trying a FDA-approved cessation
Yes.
device.
Okay.
Because it's not clear what you're getting.
Right.
And another thing would be, e-cigarettes are made and owned by tobacco companies, right? And so a tobacco company does not want you to quit smoking. That is
Exactly.
not their goal.
Right.
That's like going to McDonald's for a diet advice.
Right.
You can lose weight, it can happen, but that is not the goal. That is
Right.
not the intention.
For you to eat less, right?
So we recommend being very, very careful. Avoid it. Talk to your doctor. The other cessation devices out there are proven to be effective. So really, we recommend staying away from the e-cigarettes.
So that's the route you want to
Yeah,
go.
absolutely.
I did just get a signal that we have only a few minutes left. So I wanted to add one thing, though, to the e-cigarettes. And I think people have a misperception, maybe you can address this for just a second, that there is not nicotine, which is the addictive part, really, of a cigarette, right, in e-cigarettes. That is not true.
That's not true.
Right.
So
Yeah, right.
e-cigarettes were initially invented to be vaporized nicotine. Now, again, part of the issue with them being unregulated means we're seeing a variety of products on the market that have different components in each e-cigarette. There are some that exist that don't have nicotine. However, studies have shown that the labeling on these e-cigarettes are often very, very incorrect. So it may say it has no nicotine, and it still will test for having nicotine. It may say it has a certain percentage, and it has twice that percentage, or it has half that percentage. So nicotine, as you mentioned, is the addictive part of smoking tobacco and cigarettes, and it's also a carcinogen. So nicotine is not a safe substance, not something you want to be putting in your body to begin with.
Okay. And as you said, the biggest thing is it's not FDA regulated. There's
Absolutely.
no idea of knowing actually what you're getting.
Right.
So for people to be safe, they need to go the route that we're talking about.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely.
So any last thing that's popped into your mind that you feel like is very important that people know before we end?
Well, I just want to say that, there is a lot of help out there. There are so many great resources, and most people just don't know about them and know that there are so many people out there willing and excited to help you through your process. So please keep trying. Go to makesmokinghistory.org. There are so many resources available to you. And keep trying. You can do it. It's going to be worth it.
Yeah. Oh, that's great. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
And that's a great website. They have everything.
They
on there,
really
so
do.
Good. Okay. Thank you so much
Yeah,
for
well,
coming.
thanks
I
for
appreciate
having
you for
me.
being here. Okay. We'll see you all next month. Okay. Good. What did he say?
Well, we're just talking about